DC Comics dropped a bombshell at Comic Pro 2024 this year. They got a big summer event coming up, and it appears that perhaps DC Comics have learned from some of their mistakes with the last several events that they've had. They are taking a different approach to wrap up Dawn of DC with Absolute Power, the culmination of the Trinity of Evil that we've been hearing about. And there are some things to definitely get excited about at this event. Me personally, I will not be partaking in it, and I'll explain that just a little bit here in a minute. But we do have all the details and some of the things that I think DC Comics are getting right about this big event. DC revealed its summer blockbuster publishing initiative will be called Absolute Power, a 4-issue series launching July 2nd, led by writer Mark Waid and artist Dan Mora. DC also revealed Absolute Power Ground Zero, an official one-shot prelude to the big event that will debut in June, connecting Superman's House of Brainiac storyline with Amanda Waller's evil deeds in Absolute Power. So there you have it, folks. That is what Mark Waid and Dan Mora were abruptly removed from Shazam for. This will likely conclude with the return of the Justice League, because we do know that Mark Waid and Dan Mora will be working on a Justice League book, and we were promised that during Dawn of DC, which Absolute Power will end, we would also see the return of the Justice League after they died with Josh Williamson's Justice League 50. I don't know, has that been 2 years at this point? It's been quite some time, the prelude, I guess, to kicking off Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, another event that I don't think a lot of people were enamored with. But at least they are going after one creative voice. Me personally, I do not support Mark Waid. I do support Dan Mora, but not when Mark Waid's writing his books. Me personally, I have a lot of issues with him. If you would like to know what those issues are, it shouldn't be too hard to figure out. You can actually go and search that within YouTube. I made a video explaining it. But once he said he would rather see the entire industry burn than work with normal people, I was basically out on Mark Waid. And I shan't be coming back no matter how good people say Absolute Power is. And I imagine it will be pretty darn decent, because DC announced this event will have more consistency than any DC event in recent memory. DC Comics added Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman will each receive 3 tie-in issues from July to September. There's also a 7-issue Absolute Power Task Force 7 series and a 3-issue Absolute Power Origin series, and that's just for starters. Add them up, that's already 25 issues. All of them will be written by Mark Waid. And I do not blame DC Comics for going down this route. They really don't have a lot of high-name, high-value, high-profile creators these days, especially with writers. The other writer really would be Joshua Williamson, but Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths pretty much sucked. Night Terrors absolutely sucked, and he's also got this Superman Brainiac Queen story coming up, which will also be a Superman event. So he has done a lot of events, and basically all of them have failed. None of them have actually been successful to this point, so they're trying a different strategy. And I do applaud DC Comics for not going this stupid anthology route where everything is an alpha and omega and it's just a bunch of tie-in anthologies that no one cares about, written by like fucking Megan Fitzmartin and Tim Sheridan and every other writer that you don't want to read, like Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzig. One creative voice, I think, is a dynamite decision by DC Comics. It just so happens that one creative voice is the one voice at DC Comics I refuse to support at this point. But I do think a lot of people will be excited about this, and I do imagine this will be kicking off or launching straight into this DC Ultimate style universe, where we're going to have Scott Snyder, Jason Aaron, Al Ewing, among others. Mark Waid's rumored to be a part of that crew that's going to be doing that as well. I imagine that will also be kicking off after this as well. So DC Comics appear to have some enormous plans around the September timeframe, which a lot of people have been speculating about lately. Now, what is Absolute Power going to be about? The so-called Trinity of Evil, a loose group made up of former Suicide Squad boss Amanda Waller, Batman villain Zur-En-Arrh, and new Superman threat the Brainiac Queen, is at the heart of DC's summer 2024 storyline Absolute Power, where they'll go up against Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the assembled DC universe as a whole. The three will come together for Absolute Power this summer, which will see Amanda Waller use the strategic know-how of Zur-En-Arrh and the technology of the Brainiac Queen to steal the superhuman powers of every single superpower being in the DCU. But what happens after that? What will Waller do with those powers, and how can the people who had those powers previously fight back? This is, I guess, an interesting concept, or maybe it could be an interesting concept. What's weird about, the DC superpowered beings, like Superman isn't technically superpowered. He's just Kryptonian, and his genetic makeup interacts with the yellow sun differently than ours does. He's not actually like powered up through magic, or he didn't get bitten by a radioactive spider or anything like that. He just happens to have superpowers compared to humans because he's actually alien. Diana Prince is not really superpowered. She just happens to be the offspring of a god. When you look at Aquaman, he's not really superpowered. He's a merman, he's Atlantean. So his physiology just allows him to swim underwater and talk to fish and stuff like that. Obviously, once you start getting into the Green Lantern Corps, they are superpowered by their rings, which isn't so much magic related, but more technology related nowadays, with the way that the lore works there. Shazam is certainly powered up by magic. The Flash family are powered by the Speed Force, which really isn't magic or mysticism anymore. It's more like a science type of thing. So all these heroes that are superpowered, a lot of them aren't actually superpowered. They didn't receive their abilities like one way or the other. They were just kind of born that way. That's their physiology. And then the other ones, they did receive powers, but they are all from different means. How are you going to turn all those off, like using one event? What is the one thing that you could do to maybe remove all their powers? Maybe if they found a genie. We do know that Jin was introduced in Teen Titans several years ago, and she's technically a genie, but she's not mentioned in here. Another weird thing about this, taking away their superpowers, they don't really need to. We've actually seen Failsafe, which is the robot body that Zur-En-Arrh is in nowadays, defeat the entire Justice League, like 1-on-7. He beat them single-handedly. He also beat the entire Batman family single-handedly. We also saw him fight Superman 1-on-1. He defeated Superman, and he certainly defeated Batman, and he sent him to another multiverse or whatever. So I don't know why Zur-En-Arrh with Failsafe's body would need to work for Amanda Waller or even feel the need to depower superheroes, because he can already defeat them with their powers. So that one's kind of weird. Brainiac Queen, I guess, is the wild card here because we actually haven't seen the character introduced. We do know that they're leading up to that. Certainly Josh Williamson has been planting the seeds in his Superman run. This last issue we saw Lena Luthor and talking about her ties to Brainiac and all that kind of stuff. I imagine that's all going to play into this. Like I said, I don't even know what the Brainiac Queen skill sets are, but apparently she's going to bring some type of technology that allows Amanda Waller to suck the powers out of superheroes. I don't know why Zur-En-Arrh would work for Amanda Waller. I don't know why Brainiac Queen would want to work for Amanda Waller. Maybe Waller promises Zur-En-Arrh Gotham. If you help me remove the powers from these heroes, I'll let you have Gotham all to your own. That's what he asked for Bruce Wayne to begin with. He said, hey, I want you to retire, and I'm going to take over the protection of Gotham. Perhaps that's how Amanda Waller gets Failsafe Zur-En-Arrh on board. But like I said, I don't know why Zur-En-Arrh or Failsafe would want to work for her. We'll see what happens with Brainiac Queen. Just Amanda Waller, to me, is an enormous red flag on this one. Maybe not quite the red flag that Mark Waid is on the book. That's an enormous turnoff to me personally. But as a DC Comics reader, I've been worn out on Amanda Waller for quite some time. I've talked about it here multiple times on the channel. But she's basically like the big bad in almost every book at this point. And Amanda Waller, while an interesting character, and she's certainly devious, and she does use her positions of authority within the government and, using the Suicide Squad, does pose a formidable threat, I guess, to some of the superheroes. She's not that powerful and she's not that smart. She's just kind of evil. And I don't know why Waller ends up being the big bad and everything lately. I know they want to do something with somebody different, I guess, but I would have chose somebody else, or maybe not have used Waller so much up to this point. She was in Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. She was all over Night Terrors. She was in freaking Beast World. She's in Green Arrow. She's in Wonder Woman. She's in everything right now. I'm personally wallered out, but we shall see what happens here. But that is the crux of it. We are going to have the Trinity of Evil that DC Comics have been talking about getting together and basically removing the powers from the superheroes. Me personally, I would rather see the superheroes still powered up and fighting somebody that's such a threat that they have to overcome it. But I guess this is another a way to go about it. Everyone is depowering heroes lately. We've even seen it with Josh Williamson in his Superman run. He basically depowered Superman, giving him kryptonite poisoning. We're certainly about to see Wolverine depowered by Ben Percy and getting like an adamantium power suit. I certainly hope that every single DC Comics hero doesn't get a power suit, because that is absolutely played out. So I hope people like this, and I hope people are really excited for it. It's hard for me to get excited for it. Like I said, I don't like Mark Waid and I don't support him. And I'm personally so over Amanda Waller at this point, it's not even funny. And even Zur-En-Arrh, I think, is a really stupid concept that Chip Zdarsky won't let go of. I thought Failsafe was great, but I guess I am still getting Failsafe with Zur-En-Arrh's personality or something like that. And we shall see with Brainiac Queen. But judging by Josh Williamson's latest villains that he's created, starting out with, I guess, Insomnia or whatever that stupid villain was in Night Terrors, And then we got Shush in Batman and Robin. I guess technically he's also the one that introduced Dr. Hate at the end of Night Terrors or whatever. Like, none of those, to me, are very good villains. I thought Insomniac was really, really lame. Shush, just a stupid pun name based off of Hush. Not particularly good. So he doesn't exactly have like a great track record when it comes to creating villains. And he better hope that Brainiac Queen actually works, because this is supposed to be a big deal. Wrapping this bad boy up, in the wake of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, Amanda Waller was given the green light by the mysterious Council of Light to eliminate the world's metahumans. Since then, Waller has been cautiously advancing her agenda while keeping tabs on problematic heroes like the Titans and Doom Patrol. However, during Beast World, she manipulated events just enough so that Waller could activate the Bureau of Sovereignty, and essentially giving her unlimited power. With her new authority, Waller took control of the Hall of Justice and renamed it the Hall of Order to kick off the next phase of her plan. And me personally, I kind of liked Titans Beast World. I thought it was the most fun event DC had done, or most enjoyable event, like mainline event DC Comics had done, probably since Blackest Night. But it definitely started out with a bang, and it was much better, at least to me, before Waller showed up and was giving all these stupid speeches about how heroes are actually villains and all this stuff, was manipulating the president. Maybe that's really big news or really exciting to some people, but I cannot wait till we stop getting tie-ins to anything that happened in Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths event that I thought was really, really bad. And I'm really event fatigued at this point. I hope when DC Comics kick off whatever comes out of Absolute Power, that it's not so event-centric like Dawn of DC has been. I think we all know that we're going to be getting this Ultimate Universe with Scott Snyder and some more high-profile creators working on that. Is that going to be the entire line? It almost feels like it's growing like by the week and by the month. I've been hearing rumblings about this Ultimate Universe for like 4 or 5 years now. And the closer that we're getting to it, it feels like they're expanding and expanding and expanding it. Because in a lot of ways, it feels like DC Comics don't have any real plans or ideas on how to actually make DC Comics work at this time. Perhaps maybe the Ultimate Universe just takes over everything at the end of Absolute Power. I'm not really sure. But this will be an interesting one. Normally, I would cover the event, at least the mainline series, and the comic book titles that I'm reading that tie into the event. And then I would even do a wrap-up with Jim from Weird Science about the event. This one will be different. I don't support Mark Waid. He's writing every single issue associated with it. And those will be 25 comic books, me personally, that I'm going to be skipping out on. Do I think the event will end up being 25 issues in totality? I do not think so. I don't think that it's going to get up to the 60 issues. Apparently that Blood Hunt from Marvel is going to end up being. We said 45 issues last week, and it actually ended up being 60, which is quite ludicrous. But I would definitely be surprised if Absolute Power didn't end up going over 40 at some point. I don't really know what I'm going to be doing if he's going to be writing everything for like 3 months. It's going to be a very interesting dilemma to navigate. Just having a YouTube channel that covers comic books in general, and certainly a focus on DC Comics, because I'm more of a DC fan than Marvel fan. So I've never really been into this kind of situation, but we'll see how it goes. If you want more information on comic books, comic book reviews, conversations, all that kind of good stuff, a Q&A with your good friend Doc, I do have the Patreon available. We do lots of comic book-centric podcasts on the Patreon. We also have the Comics Guilds. We're reading through Miller World beginning to end. We're also reading through Planetary right now. Once we get through that, we'll be jumping right into something else. Lots of fun stuff going on over there. If you haven't checked out the Patreon, there's a link in the video description. I definitely want you to come over and check it out. There is a free trial ongoing right now for the $20 and $10 tiers that I think a lot of you are going to enjoy.